Hey everybody, welcome back to a new episode of Entropia content. Yeah, sorry it's been so long everyone since the last Entropia content episode. I've just been doing Clone Evolution the past little while. Oh hey George Washington, how's it going man? I don't know, I've been decided to add to the story today that I'm going to be talking a little bit about GameStop as well. I guess that GameStop news is pretty big. They're talking about it as like crushing Wall Street. But to be honest, I'm a little bit concerned about the way things are going. I know people are probably jumping up and down for joy that the average Joe finally got the revenge on Wall Street. But if you happen to remember last year, that's actually how 2020 began. Regular Joe protesters had shut down Bill Gates' rail network, CN Rail in Canada, and he was losing millions of dollars an hour. And everyone was cheering how we crushed Bill Gates' empire. And then guess what happened? The lockdowns. Then we weren't allowed to protest anymore, and we got crushed. So I'm kind of thinking like the whole way this Reddit situation's going, it's looking pretty good right now, right? But I really don't think those Wall Street guys are really going to just roll over and die in this, right? I'm pretty sure they'll be pissed, and they're going to try to find some way to get revenge. Similar to shutting down the rail networks. So we've seen how that worked out in 2020. If I had to guess what'll happen in 2021, is we're going to have another financial collapse that's going to happen, and it's going to be tied back to the Wall Street guys pushing back against this GameStop shit. But I could be wrong. I did see some other stuff about how other countries have already started the rolling internet blackouts. But they said there's too much information being spread on the internet about the side effects of the different drugs the companies are selling. So different countries have already started shutting down the internet and even phone lines. And they said they're just doing it until the vaccine is administered, and then they'll allow people to start discussing facts again. So it's kind of interesting. I forget which country that was. One of the ones in, I think maybe Ethiopia. And they're having problems administering the vaccine in African countries because some of them only had like, 20 deaths countrywide. Countries of like 60 million people. So they weren't really too keen on the whole idea. And they did no lockdowns. I think was it Tanzania. No lockdowns, no masks, 20 people dead, achieved herd immunity in a couple weeks. So here this whole time I was always using Sweden as an example. I should have been using Tanzania. Because Tanzania, I don't think the leftists will be able to attack so well. Or maybe not the leftists, the vaccine pushers. I guess vaccine pushers come in any political affiliation. Even Trump was a vaccine pusher. The biggest one of all, really. Oh man, I was watching CNN the other day. I turned it on just to see what their news stories were. It was funny, they were still just talking about Trump the whole time, which I thought was ironic because Trump's gone now, so why the hell did they even bother talking about him still? But anyways, they were doing commercials for drugs. Every freaking commercial. Take this one, and then it was like 10 minutes of side effects. And then take this one, another 10 minutes of side effects. I was like, it's almost funny, right? It's like CNN should come with this side effect warning. It's like, if you watch enough of this channel, beware. You will start injecting yourself with experimental medications. Because you know better than everyone. That they will work. Now, I'm hoping that they're right and the needles work and everyone gets better and we get back to the old normal. Like, who isn't wishing for that? I'm just a little skeptical of it. Oh, there's some fruit. Yes. Now, I figured today, I don't know what I should do. Buckle down and just sell some of my items and take a loss. Fly off to Tulane. Pick up my blueprints. I have been dying to swing by Tulane. But then that means a lot of traveling in space. So maybe I'll save that for while I watch sports later tonight. I know I watched a little bit of the Raptors last night, but they were getting their ass whooped bad, so I didn't even bother. I only kind of glanced at it. I tried to work on getting my unboxing video made for my computer. Failed fucking again. Miserably. I'm like, dear God, the hardest part of opening my computer and setting it up is going to be the unboxing video. My gear always fails. And it's funny too, every time I replace the gear, I'm like, okay, I replaced it this time, it's going to work, and I'll just put it aside and wait to use it. I gotta stop doing that. I gotta test it right away, so that when I replace it, I don't replace it with something that's also not working. Because that keeps happening. I'm like, oh, this microphone situation isn't working. I'll just buy a new one that should work for it, and wait for when I need to use it. Then the time comes I need to use it. Oh, that microphone doesn't work again. Now I gotta get another one to replace it. So it's like, that's my biggest hurdle right now. It's just my fucking stupidity when it comes to equipment. I can't seem to get shit organized. But I'm still working on it. Hopefully I'll succeed one day. I figure enough failures will eventually lead to some measure of success. Hopefully. Now this time it was my camera, and I tried to sync a wireless mic to it. And I bought this wireless mic, had tons of reviews, they were great. So I'm like, oh, it sounds easy. Just plug in the microphone, wireless, good to go. But no, sadly when I plugged the device in, something right away setting off alarm balls is the receiver did not have a power source. So I was like, wait a minute, how the hell is this receiver receiving signals if it doesn't have a power source? And then when you go to use it, it doesn't turn on. I'm like, yeah, well, how would it turn on? It doesn't have a fucking power source. So I don't know, I'm going to have to find out if I'm just using it wrong. I read the manual and it seems like everything's right, but there's no power source for the receiver. So I'm thinking it must need to take power from the device, and every device I plug it into is not giving it power. So that sucks. So now I ended up deciding to order the fucking microphone adapter to see if I can get some sort of other microphone to work for it. And thankfully, when I typed it in, the company that I've been working with has finally released a new version of the whole camera. So instead of having to buy a new microphone and new tripod adapters and everything else that wasn't fucking working right, they just released a new one, apparently with all the problems fixed. And it's funny because it's almost the same price as the whole new microphone setup. It's a very cheap camera, like around 200 bucks. Well, it may not sound cheap, but for cameras, that's pretty cheap. High-end cameras you think usually cost thousands of dollars. So to be getting a high-end one for 200, it almost seems too good to be true. So we'll see what other problems it has when it gets here. But I'm not going to even wait for that. I'm just going to go to my older gear or different gear, test it. If this camera doesn't want to work properly, then I'll have to get the mic working with a different one. Hopefully. I think what it's going to come down to is I'll probably be stuck waiting for the next microphone. So I'll just have to do a video with fucking shitty sound. Oh well. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's seen the other stock news. AMC, some movie chain from China, they decided to make it like the next big stock. So the Reddit guys have been pumping it up, and it made it really high too. But now federal regulators are getting involved, because apparently you're not allowed to tell people that you're going to make a stock be worth thousands like a week before you do. So I don't know, I bet you all the people that made money off GameStop and whatever other stocks are probably going to get it taken back. I don't know how the stock market works though. If there's some big corruption scandal that the stock market committee or whatever it's called, the regulators, if they determine that it was illegal trades, do they take the money back? Or does it just stay even though it was a legal trade? And it's funny because I bet you they'll bend the rules to make it illegal no matter what happened. Yeah, AMC costs. So yeah, that was right. George was telling me about costs yesterday too. I forgot about that one already. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Elon Musk behind the Reddit post. That'd be funny. Does anyone know who started this Reddit gambling or stock market rigging? Imagine it was one of the Wall Street guys. They started it because they're like, hey, let's collapse the stock market. Yeah, I don't want to get too much. Well, let's pick up a few. I want to hit the vape a little. I was thinking I didn't want to get too started into sweating, but I need a little break to get a drink, vaporize a little. I'll go pick up some oil and motorhead kegs in a bit, then we'll get ready for the trip to space. Holy fuck, there's a whole bunch of people here. I'm kind of worried that I'm going to do all this work for the unboxing video, and I'm running like a 50-50 chance, maybe even less, that my computer's not even going to work because I bought it from eBay. So it's going to be quite the... Hey, I figure if that's what happens and in the unboxing video, it'll probably get some views because people still see me yell and scream again. Or not scream, fucking curse. I'll have my watch so I can test my blood pressure as it goes through the roof. Hey, 1 like already. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, so, I don't know, like, I was just thinking, like, hey, I should start investing in the stock market, but I'm pretty sure this is the elite's plan to get every regular Joe to invest in the stock market and then just crash it, right? I don't know. If I had to guess, that's probably what's going to happen, but... Especially with the way Bitcoin has been plummeting almost the way down to 20,000. I was like, man, if it hits 20,000, that's a good sign that the elite will crash the economy, and then everything in Bitcoin should skyrocket. But I could be wrong about that too. I definitely wouldn't bet your life savings on it. I'm thinking these days really the best bet for me with my life savings is just to keep buying survival gear. Well, I shouldn't say survival gear because I have enough of that already. I don't know what to buy. Stocked up on supplements. I already got enough tools that I can harvest food and water no matter where I go. I've got enough light gear that I could travel for miles, make camp wherever I get. Thankfully I have years of Boy Scouts training. Man, I'll never forget the time we went with Scouts and we had to fucking camp in the fucking woods without shelter. This is like one of the no shelter tests, and it was supposed to be a fall badge, so we get our badge for camping in like the colder fall weather, and we had a fucking blizzard, so it was like one of the worst fucking snowstorms ever. We were camping with no shelter. That was an adventure. Even our scout leader, he was like, fuck man, he was thinking of just leaving. He's like, this is too much, I can't even take it. Now, when we woke up in the morning, all of our condiments had frozen. So we went to make hot dogs at the fire. All our ketchup, all our mustard, everything was bricks of ice. It, it viral. Discord removed them from the server? What? Holy shit. Yeah, because normally when the stock market does something crazy like this, someone always has to lose, right? So I don't know how long those hedge fund guys are going to let other people win. Pretty sure they have the system rigged for enough decades that they're probably anticipating this, if not organizing it to happen. I don't know. People always make fun of evil people as being stupid, but I really don't think that's a thing. Most evil people are geniuses. It's where the term evil genius comes from, right? There's no, like, evil idiot. Yeah, I was considering betting or gambling on the Reddit page, like going in, seeing what the next stock is. But knowing my luck, as soon as I invest in it, it'll just crash. So I don't want to jinx anyone else's. I'll let everyone else enjoy it. I've got enough money to get by for what I need, even though I lost a whole year's income. Well, actually 3 years' income, if you count my concussion. So I've kind of hit the dumps a little bit, but thank God my family helped out with my inheritance check after my grandma died. So that's going to come in handy. And my mom even said she's going to give me some money for helping out with my uncle. But I really don't count on that because I don't really want to take money from my mom. I'm sure she needs it more than I do, being retired and all. It's hard to get by on a retirement budget, I'm sure. Nah, and a lot of people have been helping out with the Patreon and stuff, and maybe after I get that song sorted out, get it on Apple iTunes, maybe I can bring in a couple grand and pay off some of the bills that'll be coming up, I'm sure. And I try not to worry too much about money, not let it control my life. Because it's funny, some people even get rich and it still controls their life. So it's like, what the fuck? If it's controlling your life when you're poor, and it controls your life when you're rich, why don't you just not involve yourself at all in it? Or as least as possible. And money really is all a thing about sacrifice. If you're willing to sacrifice a lot of leisure activities, like going out spending money, then you don't need money. If you're addicted to like strippers and going out and playing golf all the time, well, yeah, then you're probably going to need a lot of money. Now, I was thinking that was pretty fortunate that way. I had a feeling that I would get addicted to strippers, so I never got into going to strip clubs. It's one of those things I'm like, yeah, it's playing with fire. Maybe I shouldn't. Nah, and I find it a little bit degrading too, especially if you know people personally from somewhere. It seems kind of awkward to like watch them strip. I know like a lot of my friends from high school ended up becoming strippers. I was like, man, that'd be kind of weird. Not just because I know them, but I know their whole families and stuff, so kind of be awkward to talk to your friends' moms when you just watch their kids strip or something. It's like, what were you doing last week? Oh, just paying your daughter to dance. Now, I figured if you wouldn't do it to your own family, why would you want someone to do it to yours, right? Or friends. I shouldn't say family, that just is weird. Yeah, to each their own. I know some girls are like into nudism, so they don't even care if people see them naked or not, so it's like they might as well make money off of it, and I'm like, well, all power to you. I guess I'd be doing the same thing if I was in their situation reversed. I was trying to think what other news there was. Yeah, Pat and Ian were just talking on the video game show about how they think YouTubers should be regulated. That you have to get a license to live stream so that kids don't end up seeing bad behavior online. So yeah, that's pretty funny coming from them because they pretty much made a career off doing bad behavior for kids to watch. No, and that is the biggest market, right? Like, I know Tommy Tellerico talks about coming out with a kid-friendly console, but when it comes to a kid, when he has two consoles to choose from, there's one that's kid-friendly and one for adults, or not even consoles, just toys or presents in general. The kids will always want the adult version. They don't want the kid stuff. It's like if you go to give your nephew tools for Christmas. Is he going to want a fake screwdriver or will he want real screwdrivers? He doesn't want the kids version. He wants the adult ones because kids like to pretend they're adults. It's fucked up. No, and they were saying too that that's how kid creators on YouTube get so many fucking subscribers. Like that one kid that makes 11 million bucks a year just for doing toy reviews. It's because most of the audience on YouTube is kids. A lot of adults are at work and shit. They don't have time to be watching YouTube. Now, once you reach a certain age in life, don't you find that, like, you're just going to work, then you come home, and when you come home, you have like an hour or two to watch TV if you're lucky. Then you're going back to work or sleeping. You're not like sitting on YouTube watching it 12 hours a day, unless you're in lockdowns. Or if you have an office job and you don't have to worry about someone looking at what you're using on the computer. Yeah, I'm wondering what it's going to be like with market trading, because I remember when I was a kid growing up, you literally couldn't gamble on stocks because there was like regulations. You had to buy like some sort of stockbroker or hire one, and then he would buy and sell for you. I don't even know if you could self-trade back in the day. And then it sort of switched to like, maybe you can select your own stocks. Yeah, I guess there was always that option. Maybe brokers were just more common. And then, yeah, and eventually brokers got phased out as the internet came in. I was thinking, dear God, the way Bitcoin's going, you can gamble on casinos anonymously. So technically kids could do it because the only person at risk would be the kid. If they got caught, then they'd be fined. Whereas the company that's doing the gambling, I'm pretty sure they don't have to care because they give the disclaimer in their thing where you're not supposed to play if you're a kid. And it's not their fault if you signed up and pretended. And they prefer that because then if there's any problem, they can just null the account and take all the money back. Be like, oh, it was a kid involved. Yeah, so if that happens with stock trading, imagine like you could buy fucking stocks with Bitcoin, and then all of a sudden you can just be buying and selling stocks anonymously. So that way every time you profit from your stocks, you don't even have to tell people who you are. Imagine the tax man, they would fucking hate that system, right? Maybe there's already a system where you can buy and sell stocks with cryptocurrency. I don't know. Technically, I guess you could just convert it to money and then buy it and then buy it back, but the whole purpose of having the stocks bought with the Bitcoin would make it anonymous, so you wouldn't have to tell people who owns the stocks. Yeah, they'll try to use the excuse of anonymous stock betting that it could be used for terrorism or crime, but it's like, what the fuck? You think that's not already happening? It's like, dear God, most of the organized crime money is coming from that shit already. It's not like we'd be adding something new that wasn't already occurring. Yeah, so let's see what happens with the market this week. Fuck, I can't even remember. I think most of my money's in a savings account, and then I got half of it in real estate, where I just got that condemned house. I was thinking, dear God, that condemned house, it's almost like worth about 10,000, but it could go up or down in value, and I don't think down by much. So it is kind of somewhat a safe investment, I hope. Unless it becomes worth $1,000, and that'd be good, because I won't have to pay any more property tax to keep it, or high property taxes, if the price really drops that low. Now, I tried a little bit of precious metal investing, but not much. Just a few ounces of silver and gold here and there. But you never know, the way gold goes up, fuck. Ounce of gold might... Remember back in the day when I was in high school, ounce of gold was like $280. Imagine you stocked up on it then. Now I feel bad. I knew a whole bunch of kids in my high school that had like ounce gold coins, and they sold them for $280 to get weed. I was like, shit, can you imagine they would have kept that gold coin that was an ounce? Right now it'd be worth a lot more. Now, even though my house is condemned up north and I can't technically live there, it has a garage. So if shit really hit the fan and I needed to escape up north, at least I have a garage that I could stay in. And technically the garage isn't really condemned. It's a little bit in rough shape, but I think with $1,000 or $2 I could soup it up pretty good. Just put some new plywood on the outside, be good to go. Strip off the old shit. Yeah, it's a decent sized garage. I think really my garage up north is probably the best possession I own. Out of all the coolest things. I really got to get it cleaned up. A whole bunch of my friends and family were going to help me clean up my garage and property up north, and this whole pandemic situation or lockdowns has occurred. So I don't know if it ever will occur now. It's kind of sucks. Hopefully, maybe, who knows, the needle will work or herd immunity will work and we'll be back to normal. I can sort of get my life back on track again. Yeah, at least we're all in the same boat in some regard. No, what's funny is the gold mine that my condemned house is built on top of has just hit the biggest boom of its ever, like, history. I think 100-year history almost. I think it's thousands of years, but anyways. So a few people have actually started to put, like, the city owns the corner of the lot where my house is built, the condemned house. So they rented out the lot and someone just put a trailer in. So I have someone that's living in a trailer right next to my house. As shitty as that sounds, I was like, man, I should really fix up my garage. That way I could rent it to someone who's like staying in a trailer. They could probably use a garage with a fucking driveway and shit. So that's really what I gotta focus on. Organize myself enough to fix up my garage that it's rentable. And then someone that lives in those trailers will probably be like, hey, I'll pay you a couple $100 a month even to rent that garage. And I'd be like, all right. Then I could pay off the $2,000 and have a little investment coming in. And I could really use that during lockdown situations. If work ever gets slim. Not to mention shit really hits the fan. I can be like, sorry man, I gotta stop renting my garage and then use it myself. Now it's tempting to go up north and get a job in those gold mines, but I do know that they have quite an accident history. I've already gotten injured at work once, so I really don't want to take too many dangerous jobs on anymore. I've already had enough of that for my fill. Now, I always find that funny when I got injured at work. Part of the workplace and safety insurance rules is that if you don't feel safe doing a job, then don't do it because you won't be covered if you go and do a job that you know you're not going to be safe. So yeah, it's like you get injured at a job and then you're like, hey, I don't want to go back to this job because I know the injury could just happen again. It's still the fucking same job. I don't feel safe. They'll say, sorry, sir, you can't. If you don't go back, then you lose all your insurance. It's like, well, what the fuck? You just told me that if I knowingly go back, that I lose my insurance. But if I do go back or choose not to, I also lose it. So it's like a lose-lose situation the government has built with their fucking insurance empire. Fucking sons of bitches. But anyways, I shouldn't take it out on the employees. I know they're just going to work and doing their job. It's not their fault we built a fucking stupid system. Nah, technically I am still doing the same job to some degree, but at least I say no to as much dangerous shit as I can. Yeah, the whole idea of having a left-wing state and right-wing states, I kind of like the idea of both of them existing. So that way if you get sick of one, you can go try out the other and then realize how shitty that one is and go back to wherever you came from or just keep repeating the cycle. I know most people think that everyone's left-wing and right-wing, but it tends to be an age thing too. I notice when people are like teenagers, they tend to be more left-wing because they're very optimistic about the future. Then as you get more older, you get more cynical, and then you start joining the right-wing ideas. So it is really like a phases. A lot of people go through it and look back, or some people even keep cycling through. Maybe when you become really old, then you go back to being more optimistic because you're like, oh, I'm going to be dead anyways, any day now, so let's sacrifice all of our money to protect the environment. Yeah, and you notice that too, like cities. A lot of the big cities that are very left-wing or liberal, they'll be younger. Then you get to the older places where the population's older, then they tend to be more right-wing. And it's probably exceptions to everything like that, but... Yeah, I've heard Matthew Kahanahay, or whatever his name is, talk about Texas. He says he loves it a lot, and he talks about all the culture there. It's kind of interesting. I think I'd like to see it because Houston has the best chiropractor I've ever seen online, so I'd like to try him. Sadly, in Canada, chiropractors are not allowed to advertise what they do, so you really have to just go to every chiropractor and try each one to see if any of them are good. It's a fucked system. I don't know why Canada's healthcare is so ass backwards. Or not that there's anything wrong with that. A lot of people are so offended every time I say that. I gotta stop being amused by triggering people. It's so evil. Yeah, good people tend to die young. Now, Canadian healthcare was sweet back in the 80s. I think 90s it was starting to decline a little. 2000s it was kind of borderline, starting to hallway medicine. Then as we got to 2010, I think it's the population thing too, right? Like our healthcare system was built for 20 million people. But when we took in the rapid migration and doubled our population in like 10 or 20 years up to 40 million, all of a sudden the infrastructure wasn't big enough for us anymore. So maybe the system would have worked if we would have doubled the amount of hospitals and doubled the tax. Now, I think technically OHIP is a little bit flawed because it's set up to reward overspending. So if you're rewarding people for overspending, that's kind of a disaster waiting to happen, right? If they could find some way to not reward people for overspending and actually saving money and stuff was rewarded, maybe the system would work better then. And technically, if you're really dying and have no money, like totally pov, then Canada is the best. But if you have any money at all, then it goes way down. You could just pay someone else for better care and not have to wait in line while dying. But hey, if you're like completely broke and you need like a fucking $1 million operation, well then Canada's your country. Definitely try to get here then. Self-preservation. I don't know, people blame other people, but man, if I was dying of some shit and I needed to live, I'd be getting my ass to Canada. Fuck the migration process. Let's just hop the fence. Oh, who are we talking? You can just walk in. Fly to the States and then walk in through Montreal. Thousands of people do it every day. Well, maybe not with the flight restrictions. I don't know what's going on with that now. I think Canada said they were trying to stop people from flying now. They're going to make flight restrictions. So that's pretty fucked. A lot of people are starting to agree with that. I'm like, well, yeah, it sounds like an ideal plan, but are we really just going to become a world of isolationists where everyone's going to be banned from going anywhere? And I don't even think that'll affect the virus much. Because remember, when you go and look at history, what places had the weakest immune systems and died when anyone came to visit them? It was the fucking remote islands, right? Every time you went to a remote island that didn't have tons of herd immunity to lots of viruses, they would get wiped out by the common cold. So I don't know if we want to set ourselves up like these islands and start lowering our immunity to everything. I know it's dangerous to get immunity, but if it's still the only way to survive, we should be trying it, right? Yeah, looks like I got a few creatures chasing me. Now, and I was thinking about the whole money situation too. And what's making it easier not to really care about money these days is just seeing all my friends and family dying. So I was like, Jesus. It's like, I really don't care about money at all. It's pretty funny. It's like, no, like in comparison to your losing your friends and family, money actually does kind of start to seem like a joke. It's like, who really cares about it? No, unless you're like really needed for something like an operation or something, well then, yeah, then money's gonna be fucking pretty crucial. Ah, died. Oh god, man, today I gotta get my fasting started. I haven't eaten anything yet today. I'm not gonna do crazy fasting, still gonna eat little bits. God, I gotta cut out the sweets. Yesterday was the last day of sweets. Last day. Oh yeah, if anyone's wondering what the new camera I got, it's the FOMA Palm 2. Hasn't actually arrived yet, so I shouldn't say I got it, but I did order it, and I believe it's paid for. Despite having some big government bills come up recently, I should still have enough to pay everything off. They haven't given me the total amounts, I don't think, yet, so we'll find out how much I owe soon. Now, I'm hoping if I talk to H&R Block or maybe other tax people, they'll help me figure it out so that I won't actually owe the government money. Hoping that's what'll happen. In that case, then at least I'll get 1 year's income back from the 3 I lost in a row. If not, it'll be 3 times the charm. 3 years of lost income. But really, with the economic boom that should come from the recovery from the lockdowns, everyone, not even just the stock market people, should have a chance to take part in the next big roar. What I was kind of hoping is maybe the labor movement will start, where some sort of funding will come in, so that places will be able to afford to build shit. And all of a sudden America's going to build shit like we haven't built it in a long time. I don't know if we're going to build maybe mass transit systems or some sort of housing project. Now I was thinking one day, we will see it, maybe not in our lifetimes, but our grandkids' lifetimes, is there will be a housing boom where all of a sudden companies, maybe individuals, not just the government, is going to pool a shitload of money together and build like giant fucking apartments. I mean like fucking apartment buildings like we have never seen, like ones that will make Dubai buildings look small, and each person will get one, so it'll be included in your taxes. And then that way everyone who is homeless, the government, every time they find a homeless person, they can just go, "Sir, can you please go back to your apartment?" And everyone has one. Comes with your taxes as being a citizen. And it won't be nice. It'll be like one of those Hong Kong apartments where it's like fucking one room crammed like a cardboard box. But it'll be one room for everyone. So they won't have the homeless issue anymore. I don't understand. Like, I heard Joe Rogan talk on the show a number of times, and people like can't really foresee any future of how the problem is solved. It's like, well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure like just building a place for everyone is the only way it'll ever be solved. Yeah, and then people will still have the incentive to get a bigger place. So they won't always have to live in that cardboard box or condo that'll be like 100 square feet. Yeah, maybe they'll build 100 square foot apartment for every person as like part of your taxes. And then you get to pick where your apartment is. And then sometimes you get to rotate too. Like say you don't like the location of your apartment, you'd be like, hey, move my apartment to like say British Columbia or move it to Nova Scotia. And then the government will do like a relocation. They'll be like, okay, you request a building in this district, and then they'll move you there. Just so in case you ever had to set up life in a new place in your country, right? Then you could always have that option. Oh, just transfer my stable living situation somewhere else so that I could all of a sudden have my foot in the door somewhere. That would be kind of a neat way to do it. So that way if there was like a bad situation where like, oh fuck, my building's on a rough floor, there's tons of drug addicts and everyone's trashing the place, you could just ask for a transfer to a different building. And then maybe the nicest buildings would be ended up be like in the middle of nowhere, somewhere like Sudbury or some far up north place, because the weather's so shitty. And then the people that are more lazy and party animals will all ask for their buildings to be moved to like California or wherever the weather's nice. Can you imagine once it's a global society like that, and then you could actually ask the world government to move your apartment to whatever country you want to move to? I don't think we'll see that in our grandkids' life, but maybe. Because in the future, we're supposed to be able to build buildings that'll be able to hold like 1 trillion people. So we don't really have like a problem of buildings that will hold enough people. It really is just the resources. We can't have a building that has 1 trillion people in it because then there wouldn't be enough fish in the ocean to feed everyone. That really is the only hindrance right now. I think that's why the government doesn't build these giant buildings. Because if they did, they would realize that people would just have like 10 kids. And then all of a sudden, they would request bigger and bigger units. The next thing you know, fucking, we do outrun the resources because we start a new boom. So they actually have to make everyone go homeless just until we have enough resources to expand. Which is kind of sad, right? Like, being forced to make homeless people just so we don't all kill ourselves. Yeah, that's the thing. If we get some infinite energy, that's what I was thinking. The one part of Trump's plan I liked was the space boom. Because if we get to the moon and all of a sudden we get a shitload more new resources, then we can start building those giant apartment buildings. Because they'd be like, oh, we have like a whole new supply of gold, or we have a whole new supply of like, what is it, helium-3. So now everyone has infinite energy. Or especially if we had like not only infinite energy, but we developed the replicators that could turn energy into food. So whatever energy source we had, we could just start pumping out food like crazy. So who knows? I don't know if the moon is the one that will really have enough resources to make it infinite. Maybe we'll have to get to asteroids. Maybe it'll be Mars. Once we get to Mars, we'll have infinite resources. Let's hope. Now I'm almost more convinced that Venus is where we'll get before Mars. Because they're already talking about it now. We have the technology to build a base on Venus. So why the hell would we go to Mars? Venus is less than half the distance. We always thought it was the pressure. Pressure's within our range now. Temperatures we thought was the issue. Turns out that's not even an issue. Depending which location on the planet you go. Sure, if you go to the fucking equator, it's going to be hot. Just don't set up a fucking base on the equator and lo and behold, it's not fucking boiling hot. Yeah, I've seen the Soylent Green movie. I used to watch old movies when I was a kid, so I did see some old classics. No, one of my friends, actually, I just talked to him on Facebook. Haven't talked to him in a couple years. Partied with him for New Year's. Yeah, he was really nice. Not only come over to visit for New Year's, but he brought over some hot babes. I was like, man, always can't hurt to have friends like that. No, but anyways, I was talking to him on Facebook recently, so yeah, I'll try to get a hold of him. He was really into the old movies. I think it was his parents were movie buffs, so they had giant archives of VHS tapes in their house. So he basically seen every movie. Yeah, I do a lot of research into how the temperatures have changed on different places. I know where Suki lives in New Zealand. It's one of the ones that's seen the most drastic temperature changes. So that's what I was thinking for a long time in the back of my mind. It was like, why did it take the Aboriginals or even Polynesians or what is it, the explorers to like really make New Zealand so populated? Like you think it would have been one of the first places on the globe because it's so nice. Then I found out that it got hit really bad in the last ice age. So I was like, oh, that's why there wasn't a whole bunch of people already there for millions of years. Not to say that the Aboriginals weren't. Maybe some of them did survive the whole time there. But I'm just saying, like, gigantic populations. Like, I'm surprised it didn't grow bigger than Japan, because right now the weather there is nicer. So why the hell would you have more people living further north than you would at New Zealand? And then I started to realize that New Zealand was like the opposite North Pole or South Pole. So Antarctica and New Zealand, they tend to cycle between them. That's why Antarctica has a whole bunch of tropical trees under its ice too. It switches back and forth. I always wondered why the ice age was happening. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. It's because our poles aren't stable. We should have realized our poles aren't stable when our magnetic pole was wandering. And then we're like, shit, if the magnetic pole is wandering, maybe the other pole wanders sometimes too. Huh? We just haven't seen it because we're not watching it on billions of years yet. We've only seen it for a couple thousand, so we haven't realized it. Yeah, the pygmy, or not the pygmy people, but another similar tribe to the pygmies that was found, the remains were found in, was it Australia or was it New Zealand too? That's the weird thing. People are always like, oh, humans are all the same. And it's like, well, actually, no, there's many different species of humans. There's Neanderthals, there was the little different subspecies of shorter people. Not that any one's better than the other. I'm sure each people's got their own skill that they're probably really good at. Maybe everyone's good at everything too. Who knows? Now, I don't know what the big fear is about finding different peoples. I bet you when we expand into space, maybe we will find other humans too. They'll be like, holy shit, these humans are almost the same as us, but they'll be like a different height or they'll have a different skin color. Sort of like what Star Trek showed. Yeah, it's weird, huh? No, I looked into the people, like the ancient legends of giants too. And then giants, they talked about it in like the Sumerian times, Mesopotamians. And then if you trace the bloodline, ironically, it supports what the World War II stuff was trying to cover up. What is it like? Forget which people it is, Danish or I don't think it's actually Germans, but like people similar to Germans. Anyways, that they are actually the average tallest people. So it does seem to match the ancient legends about how some people were actually giants at one point in time. It's fucked up. Now I found out about the Celtic giants too. I didn't even know that, you know, the story of David and Goliath? I always thought Goliath was like a Middle Eastern guy. But then when I was researching it more, I found out that no, he was actually a Celtic guy. He had like red hair curls. So that Bible story is often drawn really weird, right? They don't really draw Goliath as Celtic very often. I just watched the giant documentary. Man, if you want to see a really good giant researcher, I had her on my podcast. It's called the Heather Arnold episode. Sadly, I fucked up all the technical shit and I butchered that episode. I need to have her back on and do it recorded properly. No, it was fucked. It's like when I recorded it, the sound didn't record properly, and I did have a sound recording clip of it, but I couldn't get it to sync up. I can't remember why. So anyways, when I tried to sync it back up, it was all out of place and it looked really funny. Which I thought a lot of people thought was funny, but I wanted it to be more of a serious show, so it sucked that it turned out funny. Isn't that the way it goes? When I try to do a funny episode, it always comes out boring. And then if I try to be serious, it comes out funny. God. Oh well. So is the way the universe is programmed. Anyways, Heather Arnold does lots of research on giants, so she's got a whole website on Facebook about it, or page on Facebook. I think it's called Stones, Bones, and the Paranormal. So if you ever want to join that on Facebook, it's a good group. You can tell her that you heard about it from the Magi show, and that you thought it was good even though it was a bit funny episode. God. Oh well, that was the hard part when I got into podcasting. I realized I was a little bit over my head, technical wise, because I kept getting problems. So I was like, shit, I can't keep booking guests if I keep fucking up the show technically. So hopefully this new computer, once I'm done the unboxing video, I'll be all set technically. I hope. Not that I jinxed it again. Yeah, I couldn't believe that fucking wireless microphone. The one that I had set up was such a bitch. So many different settings. I thought, man, when I got a wireless microphone, I was just going to be able to plug it in. I didn't think there's going to be fucking 15 different settings that you have to set up. Man, I might even try selling that one. Well, I hope it works. Or maybe I'll give it away as a gift. Like, here, see if you can figure it out. Yeah, maybe I'll start doing that for my viewers. I'll start giving away all the electronics that I buy and can't even figure out. Or fuck up and get the wrong kind, can't use it, I'll give it away. Now that was the funny part too. I was watching the episode about the David and Goliath story. And they showed that there's like actually alternate versions of the David Goliath story. And the one that we get from the Bible is kind of the one written by the people that won the conflict. So it's like if you read the story about the other side, like Goliath's tale, it was actually Goliath was just an army guy who was protecting his village. And it was the Hebrews that were the invaders, which it even says that in the Bible, right? Like the God gave the new tribes all the land, and they had to go in and wipe out all the people that owned it. So Goliath was one of the people that owned the land. So he was the hero that was trying to defend his village from the invaders. And when the Hebrews came, they didn't I think the Bible story talks about some big battle or whatever. Well, it turned out, I think it was more of an invasion, because they showed that Goliath's armor was impenetrable except for the back of his head. So the only place that he could really get hit is with the slingshot is if someone shot him in the back of the head. So that really doesn't line up with the whole Bible story either. The Bible, we're always talking about some one-on-one conflict where Goliath is a hero and he shoots Goliath in the face and wins the battle. But then we found out that no, the way Goliath's armor worked, the only weak spot he had was in the back. So it is not to make fun of the Hebrew story. Every culture does that. When they win the war, they always paint the people that lost it as the evil people. Not to saying that if that happens that they never were evil. There's probably each army has a portion of good troops and a portion of evil. No army is just going to be all evil or all good. I know that really pisses people off. They hear what? Some army isn't all evil? It's like they're not all raging murderers. Now, that's why I was fucked up when I started looking into the history of World War II. I couldn't believe how many of the Allies and the US troops got busted for war crimes. It's like our team definitely wasn't just like the saints that were going around being nice to people. But we don't really hear much about that in the movies, eh? They don't tell you about the massacres where we took out like hundreds of unarmed people, slaughtered the women and children for no reason. We got busted in war crimes courts, and we didn't make any movies about that part of the war. No, our troops even slaughtered the, what was it, the sportsmanship winner of the Olympic Games. Because he was on the opponent's team, and he was unarmed. So we slaughtered Olympic gold medalists. And we got busted for it in war crimes, and it was listed as one of the worst war crimes of the war. But you barely ever hear about it. It's like those damn evil people on the other side. No, I didn't read about that one yet. This one was some massacre that occurred in Italy, I think. They called it like the Italy massacre, where the Allied troops went in and massacred a whole bunch of people from Italy. And then the Olympic gold medalist was involved in the massacre. Or I don't know if he won a gold medal, but he was the sportsmanship winner. So he was like the nicest guy from the Olympics. And we killed him. Jeez. Yeah, the nicest guy never goes unpunished, isn't that how it is? It's like, as soon as he won that award, he should have been like, oh fuck, that's like painting the red jacket on me from Star Trek. Yeah, so maybe the Allies had no choice. They seen he was wearing the red sweater from Star Trek. They're like, he's gotta go. Even if he is unarmed. No, I guess technically Star Trek hadn't been out yet, so maybe Star Trek copied it from them. Now, I shouldn't laugh about the crimes in the war. I know it's a lot of bad shit happened on both sides. Now, I think my family history is kind of weird too for that, because half of my side was like German and English. So around the time of the war, that must have been weird, right? Germany and England were fighting each other. Right, technically not English, but Welsh. So maybe that's why. Weren't the Welsh fighting the English too? Now, it's funny, for my whole life, I never really learned about Welsh people. And then I found out that my one grandma was Welsh. Actually, the one that just passed recently. So, yeah, it was kind of neat to learn about Welsh people, how they were fighting England and stuff. I think the Welsh people has a lot of the red hair stuff, too. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, people always would say that the Nazis were evil, but a lot of them actually did convert and, well, convert or whatever you call it, but go to the Allied side. So not all the people from Germany were evil. Now, I kind of got the bad vibes from that when I was a kid growing up, because video games would always make fun of Nazis for a while, like, hey, let's kill the Nazis. And then I noticed that video games kind of bled that off to like making fun of German people and like, hey, let's kill the Germans because they're all Nazis. I was like, I never really liked that. I was like, hey, that's kind of mean, right? Like, Shouldn't really be labeling all German people fucking evil to be killed. But not everyone was doing that, but it was pretty common in video games to start doing that. Now I noticed that even with the conspiracy community. You notice that how they start bashing like different people. They'll be like, "Oh, this family is like an evil family. They're an evil bloodline." And then you start like, "Well, what do you mean by evil bloodline? Does that mean like anyone who has the same skin color as them is part of that bloodline that's also evil?" And I was like, "I don't really get this. This sounds pretty fucked, right?" The evil bloodlines are out to get you. That's how I started to realize too. I'm like, hey, this bloodlines that you're making fun of, I think that relates back to my bloodline. Now that's one of the old stories that's kind of funny, is that all European people were actually inbred to a certain degree, because we all trace a lineage back to Noah. And it's funny because like science has made fun of that for generations, but when it comes to the historical text, it even talks about how Noah was like a fucked up person, where his DNA was like drastically different than everyone else around him. So that's another reason why he was chosen for the whole flood thing. They said he was a weird albino that they had never seen before at that time, where not only was his skin white like paper, but it was so white that it had like a glare to it. So it almost like hurt to look at him. Now I've seen people that are that white before, but it's like, dear God, get some sun, man. No, that's where the Freemasonry text all talks about the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Jewish historian Josephus. So it's not like just some like raging fucking crazy guy talking about it. Now, the Bible actually removed most of the books out about Noah, but if you go to the Dead Sea Scrolls, they're still in there. I'm pretty sure they took those parts out because of that whole fucking magical stuff. As soon as stories get too fantastic, they usually try to take those out of the Bible because they try to make it sound more believable. I always figure if it's less believable, it sounds more true, because usually truth is stranger than fiction. Because the problem that fiction writers always have is they have to make it sound somewhat believable or else no one will read it. But when it comes to the truth, you can be anything because no one cares. Or the truth doesn't care if anyone believes it. I think it was, what's his name? Famous author always said that quote. The guy that hang around with Tesla. Twain, I think it was. Yeah, Mark Twain. That's it. Yeah, I haven't seen Mark Twain quotes around. He was really popular online for a while there. He sort of died off. Yeah, David Icke, I liked everything about him except for that reptilian part. That seemed a little bit weird. But I'm pretty sure even David Icke himself sort of distanced himself from the whole reptilian idea. It was just a phase. Everyone's got different theories that they're kind of a little off on sometimes, right? It's not like he needed to have a perfect record to be credible, in my books. You know what really got to me too is I was researching the different dental conspiracies where they talk about different problems in health are actually tied to dental issues, but a lot of times in modern days we don't notice because we have a disconnect between doctors and dentists. They actually rarely work together. So they were saying if you have a problem that relates to both dentist and your health, like you need a doctor and a dentist to work together to solve it, it's almost impossible to get that treatment. Like they were saying a lot of cases people get a root canal and then it'll lead to a root canal infection that's only detected by like some sort of organ failure. So it'll be the doctor who will detect the organ failure, but he won't know what's causing it because he didn't know the patient got a root canal. And the dentist doesn't know because he did the root canal and it got infected, but he hasn't seen the patient because he only treats dental problems. If they have organ failure, he's like, go see the doctor. So that's where we start to get to David Icke's situation. I'm pretty sure he was like a prominent fucking soccer player for years, but all of a sudden he had some dental issues. Then he got really bad arthritis. So I was like, hey, you think you got a couple root canals? They got infected, and then all of a sudden you got severe arthritis? He probably never pulled out all of his teeth to see if any one of them were the problem. Or maybe he did, I don't know. Not to be like diagnosing David Icke's health problems, but I always found that as a weird coincidence. Especially since he's so into conspiracies, and that's like one of the biggest conspiracies these days is why is there a disconnect between dentists and doctors? Like, I even talked to my dentist about it, and he's like, yeah, he would like to see more collaboration. Because he said he had a roommate that was a doctor when he was in university or something, and they often joked that a lot of their textbooks should be connecting because a lot of the studies were like interconnecting, but they never really exchanged textbooks ever. So like we really should be learning both of our fields because they interconnect. I was like, yeah, that's sweet. Maybe more dentists will come to that realization that, hey, dentist and doctor should have an office that treats both. So it's like you go to it if you're not sure if it's a problem with the dentist or the doctor, or you could go to one that's both to try to find this problem. That'll be the future, when they can scan your teeth that have had root canals and see which ones are infected without actually having to pull the tooth to see if it's infected. Maybe that's already exists. That'd be nice. Yeah, they were saying that bad root canals have actually been traced back to a whole host of problems, not just organ failure, but different cancers. Forget what else. Oh yeah, arthritis. But not to be giving medical information. This is just what I heard. Could be way off. I noticed it was true because, or I think it might be true because different people in my family got infected root canals. And they had the symptoms where all of a sudden they were feeling sick all the time and they weren't sure what was causing it. And then eventually they realized that something was wrong with their tooth. And then when they traced their tooth problem and got it pulled, all of a sudden the other problems went away. Like basically sometimes when you get an infected root canal, your whole fucking cheek can start swelling. And then if you go see a doctor, he'll be like, I'll do surgery to reduce the swelling, but I don't know what's causing it. Isn't that fucked? I actually know some people that's happened to. That's another reason why I realized this whole dentist doctor shit was so fucked. Yeah, really the dentist should get paid a lot. Man, that's a fucking hard job. Yeah, and the doctors. Now, when I seen my dentist last time during the lockdown, I was like, felt so like amazed how well they were handling it. Like I was thinking, dear God, dentist was already the most stressful job on the planet, and then you get add a lockdown on top of it, where now they're risking like catching a virus. But probably already was a risk of that, but it just never seemed so in the news. Like really, you probably had a risk of catching a whole host of things as a dentist before, and that already was one of the stress makers. Now, usually the dentist tries to be safe, where they'll screen their patients, give them a form that says, hey, you got this, you got this, you got this. But who knows? A lot of people might put no because they don't even know they have that, right? The one thing I liked about the dentist was they're able to wear the full hazmat suits now. I bet you in the past they were probably always considering wearing it, but they're like, hey, patients would probably freak out, so we shouldn't wear hazmat suits. it's just socially acceptable. It's like, oh, you're wearing a hazmat suit. So is Thursday. Just another Thursday. Alright, so I'm gonna get the heck out of here. I think I'm gonna go pick up some oil and shit. Been vaporizing too much. It's gonna be a whole 2 hours of vaporizing. Now, I promised myself I was gonna cut back on the weed, but I figured for the sake of my coworkers, I should at least wait a little bit till, I don't know. We'll see how much I'm gonna be working in the spring. Yeah, because as soon as I cut back on the weed, man, my BO just goes off the charts. As much as I try to fucking mitigate it with really strong chemicals, like 48-hour, it's not going to be easy. Alright, let's check out the auction, see what I got going on Calypso. It's nice, we got actually a few bids. Might be enough to cover the auction fees that I spent to post it. It's kind of sad in a way that not a single item sold, but hey, if anyone wants to help out the show and you're on Calypso or even on other planets, you could just use the auction, buy one of these cheap items. A lot of them are pretty cheap. This one's like 10 ped. That works out to $1 US. It's a nice flag. You can give it to someone who's Polish. Usually Polish chicks are super hot. Alright, so let's go on a teleporting adventure. Let's pick up some oil. Noobs, noobs, noobs. I like the sounds of that. Yeah, it would suck to be one of the doctors on call. I found out that's one of the problems with Canadian healthcare. I didn't even know. Is they say that the way they got it set up for family doctors, or maybe doctors in general, is you know how when you're like a regular employee, you have to put in so many hours and then you get a day off? Like say you might have to work 2 months, you earn a week off, or you might have to work a year and you earn 3 weeks off or something. So anyways, how it works for our doctors, they might have changed this, or I might have just looked it up wrong. But in Canada it works, if a doctor needs a day off, he has to finish a certain amount of appointments. So say you have to, like, if you're a family doctor, you'd have to see 1,000 patients before you get a day off, or a week off. So they said it makes it tempting for the doctors to just rush as many patients as they can, because then they get another week off, right? And I think that is good in a way, because it should reduce some of the waste. The doctors won't actually spend too much time trying to look at the patient, because they just want another day off soon. So maybe that does help create or less wasted money. But the only thing I was thinking, that kind of sucks for the patient, because if you have a doctor that's rushing as fast as he can to try to get as many patients through the office, what are the chances that won't have time to properly diagnose your condition? Or not only that, but maybe underdiagnose it just to speed up the appointment. It's like creating a hill and then surprised when the shit rolls down it. Now, I noticed that too when I went to see like chiropractors that were just like flooding as many patients through their office as they could quickly. They would try to diagnose you as quickly as they could too, but they had a pretty cheap price. But then if I went to a really high-end chiropractor, like one of the more expensive ones, more knowledgeable, he had more time because he was already charging a lot. And then he could just like, hey, I'll give you all afternoon to diagnose what your problem is because I'm getting a shitload of money out of you. And it worked. Like, I went to a more expensive one like that, and man, they found problems that the other ones just skimmed right through. So I was like, thank God, it actually worked. Not to offer that as medical advice, it's just my personal experience. Man, like that doctor, he totally changed my opinion about, or yeah, I think he was a doctor and a chiropractor. That's probably where I was lucky. He was one of the ones that had both degrees. But anyways, yeah, he was able to diagnose shit, and man, when he did his adjustment, I actually reached a state of no pain that I hadn't achieved since I was 12. So I was like, holy fuck, man. Whatever he did was like fucking amazing compared to what other treatments. Not to say the other treatments weren't helping a little, but his was just a dramatic difference. And it lasted until it popped back out. I could actually feel it pop back out, and then it started hurting again. I was like, oh fuck. I asked him if he could pop it back in the same way, and he wasn't able to. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. It's weird, eh? You get one adjustment one time, it works amazing. And he even tried to explain it to me too. He's like, yeah, that's actually common. Sometimes the first adjustment will work a lot better, and then you'll have to get a whole bunch of subsequent ones before you'll get the same results again. So I'll probably have to take his word on that. He's the smartest doctor I've seen so far as results go. And tests. His fucking tests were amazing. Yeah, that actually changed my whole opinion. I was like, I actually was at the convinced that my back would never achieve that state of alignment ever again. But it was possible. Even if it was temporary, it was possible. Yeah, so if anyone else is going through bad back issues, try not to worry too much about it. Like, as much as you see a couple bad diagnoses, maybe couldn't hurt to get a few second opinions, they say, right? It's not even my advice, that's just general knowledge. I know how many times I considered the surgery route, and to see how well the chiropractor could work compared to the surgery risks, I'm kind of glad I went the chiropractor way. I don't know, Tiger Woods seems to swear by the surgery way, but, and again, he is going for surgery over and over. Yeah, I feel bad for Tiger Woods. I really wish that... Hey, is this a plaque? Eh? That's cool. Yeah, I really wish his injury history didn't bring his game down. He was so good at one point. Alright, so we got 3 early morning Entropia viewers. Thanks everyone for tuning in. So far we just got George. If anyone else wants to say a message in the chat, it doesn't have to be Entropia related. Even if you're a Clone Evolution player, I don't mind mixing up the content occasionally. I know some people are pretty strict about what they do on their channel, but I'm a little bit more liberal that way. I don't really care. I can talk Bet Fury, Entropia, stock market, cryptocurrencies, doesn't really matter to me. Fuck, I gotta stop doing that. Every time I go to exit the vehicle, I exit the game. Yeah, it looks like someone's getting eaten by a fucking lion. That's cool. Remember, vegans, the animals will eat you the first chance they get. Now, I used to consider veganism until I started traveling out in the wilderness, and then I started to realize how many animals are trying to eat me. And then I didn't feel so guilty about eating the animals anymore. Started to realize that it is a dog-eat-dog world, quite literally. Now, if you ever feel bad about eating birds, like chickens or turkeys or stuff, just watch what fucking birds eat. Watch how pelicans like to interact. The pelican versus the seagull. I'll give you a hint. Doesn't turn out well. Or no, it was the pigeon. That's it. No, I was very surprised. I didn't realize that birds like to eat each other. Fucking heartless bastards. No, that's actually a really good method if you want to lose weight. Just watch that video. Holy fuck, I was ready to eat chicken wings the one day. Sorry if anyone's eating breakfast. You know, if you want to lose weight, just watch that video. Holy fuck. It was like the most nasty thing I've ever seen. Almost made me want to throw up for weeks. But anyways, yeah, there's like this park. There's a bunch of pelicans walking around next to the water. And there's a bunch of pigeons walking around, eating seed the kids are throwing to the pigeons. So pigeons calmly eating some seeds. Fucking pelican comes over, fucking swallows them whole. One bite. I was like, holy fuck, man. That pigeon didn't even see it coming. So just remember, if that chicken was big enough, he'd fucking eat you one bite. First chance he got. It's true. Alright, speaking of chickens, let's go check out the message from our sponsor. I hear he's a real chicken. Today's chicken videos are brought to you by Crack. Crack. It'll fuck you up. Woo! No, I think I just rocked past some fruit. No, maybe I didn't. But yeah, I was already here checking for AI. I forgot. I already got some fruit. No, yeah, so maybe that's what I'll do today. If I'm having trouble fasting, I'll just watch those fucking pelican videos. Goddamn pelicans. Never trust your child near a pelican. After I watched that video, I was like, holy shit, man. And here you see all those pictures of people putting their babies in fucking pelicans' mouths. That fucking pelican would swallow that baby like you wouldn't believe. No, it's kind of annoying. My fucking eye socket's acting up again. Ever since I got it collapsed, it fucking acts up. Well, I shouldn't say completely collapsed, but I think part of it did. And I was hoping to get tests done. Fucking had to fight the union. Got the test done, but it's going to take the Freedom of Information Act to get my results back from the fucking government doctors. They wanted to deny my insurance claim, so I'm not allowed. Not even my family doctor is allowed to look at my medical results from the fucking accident. Can you believe that? Oh well, try not to hold it against them. Man, this holiday globe looks sick. I want to go put it for sale. Is that the one I got on Nexon? I should put it for 40 ped. Yeah, let's do that. Every once in a while you pick up these rare items. No, let's put it for 100. I bet you someone will pay 100 for it. Yeah, no worries. Are you at work or something, huh? No, usually people watch the show mainly in the archive, so I don't mind if the chat's very busy, although it is kind of nice, because if you play Entropia and you get to hang out with other people, it is a lot better of a game. So one thing I knock on Entropia, it is too much of a solo game. It's definitely mostly solo play in it. Unless you're into sweating. Sweating is one of the only real sociable activities I find in this game. Oh yeah, that thing looks sick. I also want to put it here. Yeah, that looks nice. I'm gonna go take a look at it closer up. How much is this thing worth? Yeah, I'll put it out too. Kind of interested to see what it looks like. Oh, that's neat. Now I'll save that for Christmas. Tried to ditch all the Christmas decorations. Holy fuck. Is this Pet Giant or what? Oh yeah. Yeah, I figured they'd let me put it way out here. Oh, it's because its tail touches the edge? Oh, you gotta be shitting me. I put the item down, I can't move. Thank God for the teleport button, eh? This game's so fucked. 90% of the time you just get stuck in the walls. That's one thing I give Clone Evolution game credit for. They do a lot of improvements to the game. Usually if something's fucked, they fix it. Entropia, not so much. Now it's funny, you know when you crack your knuckles and it like pops air or whatever? My one eye socket that never got crushed, touch it, nothing happens. If I touch this eye socket, the one that got crushed, it pops like my knuckles cracking. So that's not really a good feeling for your eye socket. I talked to a few eye doctors about it and they said they haven't heard anything about it. So I'm like, Canadian doctors again. Shouldn't blame Canadian doctors, but maybe it was just a series of bad eye doctors. I bet you if I seen a UFC doctor, they'd be like, oh yeah, we know all about crushed eyes. Now I'm hoping if I ever do get my YouTube career kicking off, that's probably what most of my money will go to. Just buying proper healthcare. I'll have like a really good dentist, I'll have a good chiropractor. I'll be like living the dream. Yeah, that's how things change when you age, right? I went from like dreaming of hot babes to dreaming of not being in pain. Oh god. Back in my day, we used to buy drugs from gangs. Now we can just get them from the government. Now that's what really the key to life is. Try to get more realistic expectations. As much as it is nice to set your goals high, you don't want to set them so high that you just feel down in the dumps, right? If your life isn't going very good, but you don't experience pain every day, you wouldn't be surprised how good you're doing. Alright, not that I don't experience pain every day. I get good days and bad. Let's swing by Club Never Die. See what's happening there. Maybe I can get myself some AI for the mission. Would be pretty fun to do some hunting for a change. Yeah, I wonder what I'm going to get accomplished today. I should really check to make sure I'm not getting called in for work while I'm sitting here recording. That'd be a good thing to check. Yeah, it's the one thing about being on call for a job. It does kind of suck, right? Especially if you're an addict and you want to get wasted all the time. Then you can get called into work at any moment. It's definitely an awkward situation. Alright, well, I'm starting to get a little tired. Maybe I'll use sleeping today. If I get too hungry that I need to break my fast, I'll just take a little nap. Stay awake as long as I can until I get tired or hungry. It's really all I need to do is break the addiction to sugar. Sugar addiction only usually lasts me about 3 or 4 days. Once I had gone 3 or 4 days without it, then I no longer crave it. It's funny how close cannabis addiction and weed or sugar addiction is. I think cannabis is even a little bit easier to break. Alright, I'm gonna have to do some space travel. That usually wakes me up. Not. No, I was just taking a quick glance, see if I can find any of the robots here. It's not looking good. Just the hot chicks are after me. Just like real life. No, I'm just I wish. Oh god, that joke hurt. Yeah, so what other stuff I'm gonna work on today? Yeah, I should focus on getting my computer hooked up. Maybe I'll clean my other storage room. Alright, so we'll end this episode where I'll go and get ready and fly in space. Let's fly to Tulane. Yeah. Nah, what time did I wake up? I think it was around 5 a.m. So we're getting close to already 5 hours I've been awake. Almost nap time. How the prices on these been lately? Every once in a while, someone will buy these keys on Calypso for hundreds a head. You can buy them here for 40. If anyone wants to take the gamble on it. I think I did try it once where I bought one, brought it to Calypso, sold it, and I did make a little bit, but it wasn't hundreds, so I just said fuck it and didn't try again. Maybe I shouldn't have gave up after one attempt. Alright, let's put the items in storage. I got shitloads of sweat. I really wish I didn't buy all that sweat, but if anyone wants to help unload some sweat, just let me know. I got close to 1M sweat to sell. Can't remember what price I paid. I'll have to go into the archive to check. Oh yeah, the Dahar skin. That was to make those mittens. So I gotta go get those. That's the main reason I'm flying in space today, is I'm gonna go pick up some blueprints that I left on another planet. Alright, let's put this shit in storage. Alright, I think that's all the items that I needed. I'll check, make sure I got my spaceship. Yep, we got the spaceship. Now, once we're flying in space, I'll check out a bit of the cryptocurrency news, see how it's doing. I've been taking a bit of a break from it too, because I'm all moneyed out. Focusing on money too much. Right, so if anyone's watching this episode and they want to help out the show, well, yeah, I've got some big news that I found out since I recorded the last episode. So we'll cover that in space too. I got some tailoring remnants, so if anyone wants to help out the show and drop by and buy these, I think I have them for sale under markup. Fuck, the market value dropped. But if you're hoping to get it under 108%, I have it half of that, 104%. So enjoy. If you can help out the show, I've also got some wool for sale, bunch of clothing, whole bunch of fruit. If anyone's looking for fruit, oh shit, I even got animal hide for sale. So if anyone wants to help out the show, oh yeah, I never put a price on this guy. Let's price this guy. Someone gave me him as a gift, so I don't know how much he's worth. I'll put 2. So if anyone wants a 2-ped pet that's really big, you can drop by and pick up a Paneleon. The panel Eon. Now I noticed a whole bunch of babes have started posting pictures on Facebook how they're going to be so lonely for Valentine's Day. So just remember, we're still allowed to meet outside. You can always message me. I got lots of winter jackets. I don't know, if you live in another country, it might be hard to get there. Our government's trying to prevent it, but I think I'll just ditch my whole family at this point. No, I'm just kidding. Like, I'm out of here. The hot babes are calling. I can only say no for so long. God, this is such a fictional episode today. Toy snowball gun. Alright, let's begin the space flight. I think we're ready. Oh, does he have a Paneleon also? No, that's not one. That's a rhino. Rhino! Tiger! I hadn't used the tiger in quite a while. Still got it. Let the adventure to other planets begin. Now the news that I got, you might have seen his post if anyone's watching this as an Entropian player. There's a Facebook Entropia group, and there's a guy that's in there saying that he's another big investor, and he's trying to help out the Entropian community by giving out large, or I don't know how big the sums are. He said he's giving out sums of money to different players to help them. Now, definitely I'm very skeptical of this, and a lot of other people are as well, so I messaged to see if he could come on the show, and it turns out he's a viewer of the show. So he said yes, that he would be up for doing it. So I was like, alright, as soon as I get guests lined up for Entropia, that's one of the ones we'll have on the show soon. And I'm technically already able to do it, but I think it's going to lag. So I'm trying to wait till I get my new computer to really promote it, but if anyone wants to come on early, they can too. We could always do another one with the new computer after. No, the main reason I'm so skeptical about the whole idea of giving money away to players to help them, because it's actually something that I've tried before, and I tried it with different friends in real life. So I was like, hey guys, you want to play this game, Entropia? I'll give you some money to try it out, right? And you know what happens? More often than not, is the plan would backfire. And what do I mean by backfiring? Let's see. What is this? Come on. Is this too long? Yeah, it is. Right, so I have to just go north of the space station. I'll have to remember that. Fuck, did I just get shot by someone? Anyways, so if anyone's in space shooting me, please stop. I don't have any loot. You can check my stream if you want to see. Alright, so now I got totally sidetracked about the story I was continuing. I'll try to remember. Oh yeah, the guy coming on the show and why I was skeptical. That's good, my recall speeded up a little bit. I better continue before I forget again. But anyways, yeah, so he's giving money out, and I realized that it was a bad plan when I tried it. Because what ended up happening is everyone I gave the money to became dependent. You know, like children become dependent on their parents. How animals, they say don't feed them because they'll become dependent on that food. Not to say that my friends are animals, but, well, some of them behave like it. No, I'm just kidding. That's why I have no friends. But anyways, yeah, so what happened was is I gave them money, and then after they got the money, they said that they quit the game because it became too much of a letdown. I was like, what do you mean a letdown? Like, well, they got dependent on me giving them the money. So as soon as they had to go get their own money, they said it wasn't fun anymore. Because now they had more fun just getting the money. So now it felt like someone wasn't giving it to them anymore. So now they're like, hey, I'm just going to quit. So I was like, shit, that is kind of what happens when you start giving money away to players. I noticed it a few times too. Every time I got a disciple, and I tried like grilling the disciple, but like give them nothing, just teach them how to get it themselves. In those cases, those disciples would usually graduate. But if I gave my disciples PED, and I'm like, here, take some Project Entropia dollars, do this, they would just quit the game. I was like, what the fuck? So every time I kept giving money to players and they'd quit, I just quit doing it. I'm like, from now on, I'm not going to give money to other players because I realized how bad it fucks them. It's sort of like the whole good deeds never go unpunished. So technically, I'm one of the people who I'm like, yeah, I want to go get the free money from this guy because I love getting free shit in Entropia. It's like half my episodes. But if free shit, if you become too dependent on it, then it makes the game less fun if you can't keep getting it. So I don't know how big his supply of money is. If he's able to keep giving the money, well, maybe it is plausible then. But at some point he has to cut it off and people just become dependent and then quit. It's probably not the best idea, but who knows? I'm always wrong about a lot of shit, so it might be the greatest idea ever. I know all the people collecting the free money are like, shut up! Don't tell them to stop. No, so I'm looking forward to the interview. I think I added him on friends on Facebook. I got a little bit political in the past few weeks, so maybe I've already been defriended. I'll have to check. Now, I'm trying to stay away from the politics. Sorry, everyone. I know I pick on both parties quite a bit, but if people hear me just picking on one party, they might think I'm not as much of a centrist. I gotta try to even out picking on everyone. Now, I pick on myself a lot too. I'm not immune to that as well. Probably the worst criticism I give myself. So really, I am treating others the way I like to be treated. See, Jesus is badass. He's not telling you to be nice to people. No, I don't even think that was Jesus. I'm pretty sure that was Buddha or someone. It's funny how many quotes get attributed to people that never said them. I swear, every bad quote about me, that's what happened. The Mankini stuff, I swear, it wasn't me. No, I was thinking, maybe next time the spring starts, if I can get in shape, I'll go to the beaches in Toronto and swing by the nude beach and try out a mankini. If anyone sees it, they'll be like, oh god, a mankini. You're almost as bad as that guy on the internet. I'll be like, yeah, almost. Now, I have noticed that. Usually for a while there, I was like recognized as a celebrity who was always teaching people on YouTube how to do tutorials for stuff like Slego and different tutorials. Now when I see people, it's mainly Mankini viewers that recognize me. Like, hey, aren't you that Mankini guy? It's like, I don't know. I guess it's better than not being known at all. What have I got myself into? Alright, enough talking about me. Let's talk about BitCurrencies and how much of it I've collected. Alright, first we'll check out my situation. We're at 150,229. That has a nice sound to it. I like the 150,000. Let's check out my referral reward points, see what we're at for that. 14,000, that's pretty good. I really appreciate that too, everyone, because once this reaches 100,000, I can withdraw it, and it's worth the same as Satoshi. So I'll get an extra 100,000 Satoshi whenever this is ready to withdraw. We're over 10% of the way there, so it's pretty good. Alright, so what other cryptocurrency news? Oh yeah, BitFury. 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 It's like Tyson Fury, but BitFury. Maybe Tyson started BitFury. If so, Tyson Fury, you're welcome to come on the show. God, I was wondering if it was gonna fucking load 10 years later. Oh shit, the server maintenance. They're changing the boxes again. So if anyone's wondering what's been happening with the boxes, they're changing them. I was wondering because I stopped getting any referral bonuses from the boxes. So I was like, fuck man, something must be changing. Or it was just like me and I was taking a break and other people were too. Right, so my referral Satoshi has gone up. Thanks everyone. I'll collect that. I probably shouldn't be collecting while server maintenance is going. I never even thought that. That was probably a bad idea. Alright, we'll check out what the staking bonuses are like. I noticed they've been going down a little bit. Yeah, they're recalculating those. So hopefully they go up a little and not down, but we'll see what happens. Alright, let's check out the cryptocurrencies next. Oh yeah, I was going to mention my referrals and give a shout out to all the ones from Entropia, because usually it's just the Clone Evolution ones that are getting shout outs. So Suki is not playing anymore. I won't mention why. She didn't read all the rules, so she's going to have to start up again once she can follow the rules. And she's on a trip right now, so hopefully she has a safe trip. Mr. Plixo, he's at 3,000. Cinder is at 968,000. So she's doing really good. She's almost at 1%, or no, 10% completed the fucking goal. Holy shit. Yeah, so congratulations, Cinder. Dear God, I wish I was at that amount. That's huge. I can't believe my referral didn't go up more since she got up that high. Oh yeah, I'm thinking the other decimal point. Anyways, Nutroll. So congratulations, Nutroll. He's up to 52,000. Euros is an Entropia player. Congratulations, Euros. He's at 13,000. I think Nutroll is too. Or maybe he's both. I can't remember. Iliamantis, 813. I think he's an Entropian player. Kilo, I don't know which he's from. But man, is he ever kicking ass. He's at 9 million. So he's definitely got the lead so far. Dear God, man. He's like the Uber. Maybe he's the Uber guy from Entropia. The big money investor. That could be it. Alright, so Go Bastos. He's at 6,483 and 10. 10 for the user. Mr. User. Now let's hope the Satoshi from Betfury increases today instead of decreasing. But if I had to guess, cryptocurrency is going to start giving out 1 Satoshi. Just because it was at 10 when I started, it dropped to 5. Seems like it's going to drop to 2. And then after 2, what? It's going to drop to 1. Maybe things will change and they'll give out more, but I doubt it. Anyways, let's do the last cryptocurrency thing. Holy fuck, I just randomly clicked on links. That was not good on a live stream. A live stream? Crikey. Right, so Bitcoin still down 1%. It's getting close to the 20-something mark. Is anyone else like tempted to invest in Bitcoin once it reaches the 20-something mark? Because I was thinking even low 30s I was going to invest. But now it's still going down. Well, I shouldn't say it's up 3%, but still down overall over the week. Ethereum's back up. Man, Ethereum crashed last night and back up today. It's got to be the most fluctuating one of them all, right? Tether. Yeah, that's what this one guy was saying online. He's like, how the hell are you going to use cryptocurrency as a currency? And people are like, oh, you can exchange goods and stuff. But he's like, no, really. Like, if you pay for something, how is it really going to work? And they're like, oh, you use these ATMs, you withdraw and all this. No, but he's like, what happens if you sell something for someone? Like, say you sell them like a loaf of bread for a certain amount of Bitcoin. Then the next day, the Bitcoin that you sold it for is worthless. So, like, the Bitcoin is going up and down so frequently, it might not go all the way to worthless, but it's just still too volatile. Like, if you traded a loaf of bread with it, that amount that you traded with a loaf of bread might be worth $1,000 the next day, or it might be worth 2 cents. It's like, that's how much it's fluctuating. So it's like, that's one of the main reasons you can't use it as a currency logically, because you need a currency that remains the same value for long periods of time. If it's fluctuating, you can't really use it as a currency. So I was like, yeah, that does kind of make sense, right? Like, you don't want to exchange a currency that's actually fluctuating unless you're a trader. And if you're just like someone who wants money and not into trading, you want something that's stable. So not to say Bitcoin can't work as a currency, because obviously all these currencies are, casinos are doing it now, but it is like practically a little bit unpractical. Yeah, like the German mark. Like, would you really want a currency that could change so rapidly that here you're a store or shop owner and you're happy that you made a sale, but your sale could always backfire at the last minute if the currency just drops. So you'd almost rather trade in a currency that has more fucking value. Yeah, hyperinflation runs that risk. What is it, that one country, Zambia? I think they ran the price of eggs to $3 billion. So yeah, you don't really want to pay billions for eggs. Yeah, Zimbabwe, that's the one. What did I say? Zamba or something? Sorry, Zamba. Yeah, I know a lot of people make fun of Africa and say that they're not that advanced. But man, when I look at some parts of Africa, I'd say they're even more advanced than here. Especially when you get to, what is it, Nigeria. Nigeria's got a lot of rich people, right? And I'm sure they're not all scamming. I always feel bad for the guys that actually live up in Alaska and they have to sell freezers to Eskimos or different people that have tribes up there. They must be like, dear God, my real life is a joke. Yeah, my family used to go to Africa. I think it was one of my uncles was helping to build houses there. And then I think there was the malaria issue. Once you collect or catch malaria a few times, you really don't want to hang out in Africa much longer. Because apparently malaria gets worse every time you've had it. And if you have it a few times, you're like actually borderline dying each time. Yeah, East Africa. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I was just thinking West Africa. No, it was that one country in Africa that's on the coast. I couldn't remember if it was East or West. But they had the lowest deaths from the lockdowns, or from the pandemic, and they had no lockdown. 20 deaths. I was like, holy fuck, 60 million people, 20 deaths. Tanzania, that's it. I might be saying that wrong, or probably getting it mixed up with another country's name, but it was something like that. No, they were the ones that had the fruit test, where they sent fruit samples into the World Health Organization to see if they would fuck with them. And then they said, yeah, the fruit samples they sent in actually tested positive according to the World Health, or whoever they sent it to. So right away they were skeptical to lock down after that, because like, holy shit, your guys' testing is completely flawed. Yeah, Tanzania, that was the one. Now, some of my friends or some people I seen posting from Bulgaria that they were traveling to Tanzania because they were tired of the lockdown rules. Well, I guess the lockdown rules in Bulgaria weren't even that bad. They're lucky that their people actually fight the government when they try fucking them over. But anyways, no, I guess here we have to do it legally and peacefully. Bulgaria, they're probably running around with baseball bats. Who knows? Sometimes you really got to put the hammer down. I don't know. I'll have to look what worked for them. Maybe they did it peacefully too. I shouldn't be saying that they used brute force. I don't know. No, but apparently people from Bulgaria were going to Tanzania because, man, everyone's just partying there like there's no lockdowns. They're partying like there's no virus even. And they only have 20 people dead. So I was wondering if maybe the gravity well research has something to do with it. The virus actually will be affecting some places worse just because of the energy fields that some continents have. I was wondering why, if naturally that is why some places are less prone to diseases and why some places are more prone. Just because of the gravity well energy field is creating species of animals differently. So why wouldn't it be creating viruses differently too? I don't know for sure, it's just where my research is looking. Alright, so let's give a shout out to the patrons. We're already at the 2 hour mark. I know I'm not really doing many Entropia episodes these days, so I'm trying to do at least 2 hour episodes. Once I get back in the habit of having more steady hours, where I know it was funny, all summer I was like, hey, once I start shoveling, I'll record more steady. And I actually did it more steady during the summer. Fucking doing shit in reverse again. But anyways, yeah, so what I'll do is give a shout out to the patrons. And hopefully when summertime comes, I'll be able to get back into more steady recording. Now, really where I had to throw in the towel was I started to realize that when I push myself too much to get crazy amounts of work done, it's just not worth it. I'm damaging my health too much. So I got to make sure I'm not trying to be the hero, and if I'm tired, I actually just take a rest and not try to fucking force myself through it. No, I don't know if it's an age thing, and I started to feel pain more than I used to when I was younger, but I definitely pace myself better these days. I hope. Famous last words. Alright, so the patrons, Jim, Ray, Travis, and Suki. No, big shout out to Suki, and she's on her trip, so I hope she gets back safe. I know she's living in New Zealand, so they're still able to take trips, I'm pretty sure. I think the lockdown hasn't came back to them yet. And I think she said she was going to Queenstown, so hopefully that's a fun trip. Anyway, so Jim, Ray, and Travis, they were the first to help out and inspired the idea to start doing a song for Patreon. Probably going to try to get it on iTunes. So if anyone else wants their name included in the song lyrics, just hook me up on Patreon. Plans start at $1 a month. And don't worry, even if you only have $1 and you don't want to get tied down, I'm not going to remove people's names even if they have to cancel. So it'll be a one-time thing. Even if you have to cancel, your name will still be in it. Unless you don't want your name in it, just maybe give me a different name you want added. And if it's not too unreasonable, I'll add it instead. Because I know Suki is her alias as well. Alright, so, but no, I think Jim, Ray, and Travis, that's all their real names, so that's what I'm going to call the band name. I'm going to call it Jimmy Ray Travis. I hope Jimmy or Jim's not too upset about being called Jimmy, because I'm not really calling him that. I'm just hybrid, making a Super Saiyan hybrid of three people into one. The ultimate music sensation. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a country song, but a little bit maybe Japanese or Asian fucking electronic music style. Now that Suki's in there. No, but I'm a big electronic music fan too, so I was already going to add that in. But maybe I'll add Suki's name to it, to that electronic part. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, so we'll see how the song works out. Yeah, the one thing I noticed about Tanzania, they're saying that the death toll, people are arguing, saying that a lot more people probably died from it and they just never tested for it. But the one thing I was thinking too is I'm pretty sure Tanzania has the lowest average age. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure they don't have like thousands of long-term care homes with like shitloads of seniors. So that's probably what also contributed a little bit to the lower death toll. And I'm probably sure that's related to malaria, because a lot of cases you won't live to be that age, because once you've had malaria 4 or 5 times, you're probably going to die. So yeah, malaria is fucked, and I'm pretty sure that's why a lot of countries in Africa didn't take the lockdowns too serious, because like, dear God, malaria is way worse, and we deal with it every day. So why the fuck would we lock down for a virus that's milder than malaria? Yeah, that must have been weird, eh? Trying to enforce it. It'd be like, but malaria is worse and we're allowed out. And it's like, well, yeah, this milder virus, you're not allowed out now. It's like, but what about the worst virus? They're like, oh, that you're still allowed out for. It's like, what? You're in charge of my health and you're trying to help me? Yeah, I noticed that too. Other cultures still take care of their parents, where in North America, we can't grasp the concept, right? We're like, why can't we afford to just dump all our seniors into places for taxpayers to take care of? Like, why doesn't the money work out financially? We're like, aren't all the other countries doing this for thousands of years? And then you look at the history books and be like, no, cultures have not done this. Usually, what cultures do is you have to look after your own seniors. The taxpayers don't have to. So that's why the taxpayers don't get this giant burden of looking after all the seniors. And that's why you don't have long-term care homes that are fucking filled with people that are all dying, right? It's kind of a weird thing. I don't know why in North America we just decided to put a figure on just ditching your family, right? I think maybe it started out of health problems, right? Like people are like, oh, I can't afford to take after my parents, so I have to put them in a home. I know that does happen. Or it becomes too medically intensive, like maybe they have to be on a ventilator and you can't look after them at home anymore because you don't have the equipment there. So there's always those situations. But that's like the whole abortion debate. Sure, people are getting abortions for rapes, but that's also a very small amount of it, right? A lot of cases, it's just people going on fucking orgies, right? And then having no responsibilities and killing people to do it. It's actually kind of sad, but I don't know. There's always the debate, too, where human life really doesn't begin until you're a certain age. No, I shouldn't laugh. I know it's a hard decision a lot of people made. Fuck, what are they saying in America? Up to like 50% of girls have had an abortion by the time they're like 16 now? It's like, what the fuck? That's kind of a weird figure. Sure hope that isn't true. Now and then you look at the resources of the world. As bad as abortions are, governments do have to take some sort of action to make sure we don't fucking have trillions of people. Yeah, lots of my family and friends have actually worked in senior homes, so I've been around them a little bit, just like picking people up from them and stuff. In most cases, it is like a prison. I'm really surprised people are so cool at just dropping their family off there. But I think what it is a lot of people brainwash themselves to believe that the old folks' home actually is normal, and it's like perfectly okay to just drop them off there. They think that the money is actually going to be enough and they'll get proper care. They're not realizing that there's no way these places have even close to enough money to run it. So that's why they cut corners everywhere. It's fucking near impossible to look after people like that. Can you imagine how much you'd have to pay someone to like change and wipe someone's ass like 8 hours a day? Like, fuck, man. That's a horrible job, and like, how much would you really have to pay someone to do it? Not to mention now when you could die from a virus doing it. Which you probably could already. I'm sure the flu was wiping out people that were healthy before also. The flu is definitely nothing to fuck with. Alright, so I guess we'll get back to Entropia. I left on the patron screen for a while because basically space doesn't have much action. Had nothing to do about me being high as fuck and forgetting to change it. Yeah. Now, I'm sure there's some nursing homes that aren't that bad, so I don't want to be bashing all of them. I know my friend Beamer, he had that debate too, where he looked after his wife as long as he could, but at one point she reached a spot medically where he no longer had the energy to keep up with it. So he actually had to put her in a home by the end. But he went to visit her all the time, even though that she couldn't remember him because of her dementia. That must have been really sad, eh? Going to take care of your wife in an old folks home and she doesn't even remember who you are anymore. That'd be fucked. Nah, Beamer was a good inspiration to me. That's the nice thing about having older people as a mentor. You really do learn things that you couldn't grasp, and if you waited till you're that age to learn it, it's almost too late to learn it. So it's good to have a mentor and learn it sooner. Yeah, home health care in Texas? Wow, that's amazing. No, my family used to work for, my mom used to work for a company, I forget what was it called, Home Instead. So yeah, that was one of the ones too, where you could get people to come to your house and look after them also. But I'm pretty sure Home Instead also did senior homes, so it didn't really mean that it was just homes. No, my mom actually has a scholarship named after her because she did such a good job as a PSW that she kept some patients alive like years longer than the estimates. So once you kept enough people alive, they start naming scholarships after you. Yeah, so I'm pretty proud of my mom for pulling that off. It's a good job. Though I was kind of surprised she's able to do it because, man, after I started taking care of my uncle, man, it's a lot of physical work. Like PSW guys, I could see why they would have to hire some guys because how the hell are you going to lift all these patients? Fuck, man, my uncle's not even tall. He's only like borderline midget height, like 5 something. And, yeah, he's fucking heavy. Like, trying to move him around, it's definitely not easy. Yeah, so all the power to the people that are managing to still be PSWs. I know sometimes I give the unions a hard time, but man, if I was a PSW and I was doing that job, I would fucking unionize. There's definitely another side to that story. No, there was just a PSW that died recently on who was a Syrian refugee who came to Canada to help working as a PSW. Can you imagine that, eh? He was only in his 20s. But they said that he caught the virus, and then there's debate now of how he actually died. Some people are saying, like, his friends and family said he had already recovered weeks ago, and he was already back to doing normal stuff, and then he died. And they were wondering if it was, like, other health complications that he had. But then his family doesn't speak English, so they weren't actually able to interview the parents properly. They kind of just put words in their mouth. So I don't know if he really did die from the virus. I guess it doesn't really matter either way. That we still care about the guy and his family, and sucks what happened. Yeah, but man, there was like a 20-year-old kid, working as a PSW. That's one of the hardest jobs. Now, I've got a cousin who's working as a PSW still. Yeah, that's the one thing that I've started to realize. A lot of people that are going the isolationist lifestyle, like, you know how a lot of people in the olden days, they all had families and kids, and we always laughed at them like, oh, we know better that we can have like single families or not even having kids. And we're like, oh, this is a more modern way that's more superior. But then as you see like PSWs working in those old folks' homes, you start to realize the people that are in the stuck in the old folks' homes are usually the ones that didn't have kids or the ones that didn't get married. Their cat wasn't able to look after them when they got older, so then they end up getting put in the old folks' home, right? So that's the one really sad thing when I see a lot of like younger people like, hey, I don't need a family, I don't need kids, I'm gonna be fine the rest of my life. Just wait till you're like, that's the scary part too. A lot of people are getting dementia in their 50s now. So some kids are like, oh, I got all these years until I'm gonna be stuck in old phone, nothing to worry about. Well, 50 years old isn't really that far. It's like you're gonna turn that age in no time. Just wait. It's kind of scary, but true. Not to freak people out, but it is the reality, right? If you don't have kids that you've helped your whole life, chances are they're going to ditch you too. Like, even if you have kids and you just put them in daycare, they'll probably put you in a nursing home too. Because they're like, hey, let's return the favor. Put me in daycare, did you? Off to the old folks' home. No, what is it? They did studies on kids that were like homeschooled, and they showed that homeschooled kids were almost like 99% more likely to not put their parents in old folks' homes. They would actually look after them till they died. Just like that whole bond was stronger, right? Now that's why I wonder if that maybe that's what the pandemic really came into our society to teach us, is that we kind of fucked the family unit really bad, and there's consequences to that. One of them happens to be what happens when viruses spread in long-term care homes. Shouldn't laugh, it's a fucking nightmare. Yeah. Yeah, like I look at my uncle and I'm like thinking, poor guy, poor guy. And then I'm like, shit, man, what happens when I'm in his situation? I don't really have any nephews that I'm investing that much time in. I should really buy my nephews more presents and spend more time with them, right? Or I'm gonna be fucked one day. Yeah, I'll try to be a better role model example so I don't end up in the old folks home. Try to take my own advice for shit's sakes. That's the hardest thing to do in life. Sometimes taking your own advice. Now, if anyone's wondering how the diet stuff is going, my weight actually hasn't been going down at all. I've basically been staying at 109, occasionally getting down to 106 if I don't eat for one day, but still. So I'm 1 pound away from gaining all the weight back I did. But I'm not too pissed because this watch I've been getting into has been teaching me a lot about how my body works and how much calories I burn, how far I'm walking. It's wild. I think my record on the average, like, good snow shift, I'm walking over 10,000 steps. I think, what is it, like 6 kilometers? Or no, I think I made it up to 20 kilometers the one day. So I'm almost reaching the point of like half of what a post office worker walks. And they're like fucking Olympic athletes when it comes to walking. So, yeah, calorie wise, getting back on track, burning way more, walking. Oh, and I'm watching my heart rate a lot. I noticed weed does actually increase your heart rate. I was surprised at that. Normally when I'm just at a normal resting rate, I'm anywhere between 60 and 80. Then when I start smoking weed, it goes up to like 80, 90. And then if I'm working out, it pushes up into the hundreds. Or if I start yelling, that's when I start getting up into the hundreds too. So I'm going to have to watch that. Yeah, I'm lucky that at least I got a huge beer belly right now. So when I'm going for walks, it almost feels like I'm carrying around like a 40-pound weight belt. So I don't really want to increase it too much because I got a bad Achilles tendon, which I injured one day when I walked, I think it was around 60 kilometers in one day. So I got to be careful that I don't aggravate that injury. Oh yeah, the post office work. Yeah, those post office guys, that's why I call them Olympic athletes, because not only do they walk 40 kilometers, but they're also carrying weight when they do it. Because I notice when I go on really long hikes, I'll fucking almost like strip down and carry nothing so that I got as little weight as possible. Because if I had to carry any weight, I wouldn't make it. Now, so I'm gradually getting back on track again. I know with weight loss, it's easy to get discouraged, like when you have really good progress, then you fall off the wagon. But I got to remember that life is just it's a wave, right? You're always going to be going in peaks and valleys. Try to level it out as much as you can, but don't get discouraged when you're going up and down. Pardon the pun. Now, I'm pretty sure that the game streams are going to increase in a little bit in popularity once I start having guests on. Because I really don't like having to talk for 2 hours nonstop. It'll be nice to do some long shows with guests so we can talk longer. 2 hours, it gets to be a bit much. I'm already losing my voice. Yeah, I've got a pretty wide variety of training techniques that I use. I was going to do a video about it last summer during the lockdown, but then I thought it looked really cheesy because a lot of rich people are showing off about how great their home gyms are and stuff. So I figured I was going to wait a while to do it. So I'll probably do it this summer. Hopefully it's not so much of a cliche. No, I'm definitely not rich with my home gym. Basically, a lot of the gear I got is sort of like aerobics, like a lot of body weight stuff. Just sort of frames that you can use your own body with. I got a pretty good dip bar, so I'll show off some of the routines I do for that. Got a chin-up bar, but really my chin-up bar, it's I only use it when I can't find stuff outside in nature to use as chin-up bars. I bought it just as like an emergency in case of lockdown. I can't leave my yard. Then at least still be able to do chin-ups. And then I got my regular sit-up routines I do. You know, some people get crazy with different varieties of sit-ups, but I'm more of just a do a whole bunch of one kind person. Yeah, and the only weights I had to buy for free weights is my whole life I had issues where I couldn't find a dumbbell that was the proper weight to do arm curls. What kept happening is I could like curl like 40 or 50 pounds. So I'm like, okay, I'll try curling 40 or 50 pounds. What would happen is my fucking wrist would just get really sore. So I was like, what the fuck? My bicep isn't getting any workout and I'm just getting a sore wrist. So it was like my whole body was imbalanced. So what I had to do was like go back down to actual 20-pound weights to curl and just do 20 reps. So that way when I do 20 reps, my wrist doesn't get sore, but my actual bicep gets targeted. I know some people are lucky that they could just do 8 reps of like a normal weight, but I've got fucked wrists. I think it's because, I don't know, my proportions are weird. I have very, like, skinny wrists for some reason. I know it's weird too, because I even did a job that strengthens your wrist muscles. No pun intended there. It's one of the garden jobs I do. One of the tools we use constantly puts pressure on your wrist, and my fucking wrist doubled in size. So it's like almost all pure muscle now, and it's still, I have to do that fucking lower arm curl weight, because I'll get a sore wrist first. Yeah, my body is so weird. It's got a lot of weird fucked shit about it. Notice how women's bodies and men's bodies are kind of very different that way? It's like women's body shape is so variety. Like it can be pear-shaped, hourglass shape, all these different shapes. But if a man is like in like pretty good shape, it's like almost all men's bodies are just the same, right? Maybe there'll be slight variations, but not really that much. And until you get fat, then fat definitely adds some variations. But I'm just talking like in shape people. Now I'm excited to land on Two-Land because when we land there, I got a whole bunch of blueprints to pick up. I think I might just chill there and pick up some oil for a while. We'll see if there's a lot of people that watch my oil episode that are there. Remember last time I was there, I ran into someone who found out about it from the episode. So maybe I'll run into some more viewers. It's always nice. I don't have many real friends at all anymore, and at least now I have the lockdown to blame for that. Yeah, so what else is there going on Two-Land? So if anyone else is on Two-Land and wants to hook up, just let me know. Yeah, I was thinking doing some pirating in the game. I actually tried pirating right when I first started Entropia, and I haven't done it since, so it's been quite a while. The pirating I used to do was the guild that I joined first. They hunted pirates, so what they would do is they would try to hunt pirates that were shooting people and taking their loot. And then once they killed the pirate, they would take the loot back and then give it to the person. So it was sort of like, even though they were pirates, they were trying to be like chaotic good pirates. So I thought that was kind of a neat way to be a pirate in Entropia. I don't know if that guild's still going. I kind of miss that guild. They were good guys. They even hooked me up with free money and shit. I only left because I started getting political and I started Occupy Calypso. And then Occupy Calypso got banned in the terms of service, so then I had to change the name of the guild. Now, I used to be very political, like heavy left wing when I was younger. And then as I got older, I got more cynical. So I wasn't always bitching about the hippies. I was one of those hippies with the long hair playing hacky sack. All the good old days. Now, I'm still going to get back into those days. I was thinking of breaking out the hacky sack yesterday, actually. Yeah, so I wonder what's going to happen with the government stocks today. They said that they're going to fight the people who made all the money on Reddit. We'll see what happens with that. That was the show title, so I guess I should wrap up the episode summarizing that. And for people that are going into the Reddit investing, I would say just beware. I'm pretty sure the elite have already anticipated this happening. We may be jumping up and down for joy, thinking we destroyed the Wall Street, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some three-dimensional chess going on, right? Even four-dimensional. Like, just God, think Trump's at his golf resort, sitting around laughing, while everyone's getting his fucking vaccines and he's making money off of it. So really, he screwed both parties. Unless the vaccine helps, maybe he helped both parties. Who knows? Only time will tell. I'll sure be happy. I'm not one of those people that if the vaccine works, I won't be like pissed about it. I'll definitely be happy, right? I don't want the earth to be destroyed. I still like the earth. It's the only earth we got. No, maybe once I get a good colony on Mars going, then we can destroy the Earth. No, I'm just kidding. Then call me. Oh yeah, I keep thinking I gotta actually fly to the planet, but I just have to fly to the station and go north. So I'm almost there. Alright, so I'll finish this up while you guys are gone, or should I wait till we land? See if we get any gifts when we arrive on Tulan. Figure with all this space travel, maybe we'll just wait. Yeah, I'm a little bit scared to play hacky sack because I used to be really good at rollerblading. I put on a pair of rollerblades and I couldn't even make it to the end of my driveway. I was like, what the fuck? I used to be able to go off jumps and shit. Why the fuck am I having trouble getting to the end of the driveway? So I'm hoping it was just something with my concussion. They said it fucks your balance and you have to retrain it. So I was like, hopefully I can just retrain that. But I was kind of surprised how far I digressed. I was thinking maybe what I'll do is smash up the bearings on my rollerblades, or maybe just get a pair of shitty ones and swap them over. Because usually if you have really bad bearings, it's easier to stand because the wheels won't spin as fast. Could be just the rollerblades I'm using. I haven't had a brand new pair for quite a few years, so maybe that's what's causing it. I'm hoping. Now with hacky sack, my hacky sack career was funny. I started off just being a hippie and playing it in high school. And I was always dreaming that I'd be able to hit it 10 times without dropping it. And I trained and I trained and I trained for summers and summers, trying to learn to hit it 10 times. Couldn't. Best I could do was like 2 or 3. But I still kept trying. For some reason I loved it that much. And then one day I had the epiphany. I don't know if anyone's had that epiphany in sports before, where all of a sudden I got spiked with LSD and I decided to play hacky sack, and guess how many I managed to hit that day without dropping it? The whole fucking school actually came out to watch because everyone was like fucking amazed. They're like, what the fuck? You couldn't hit it more than 2 or 3 times yesterday. And then all of a sudden on LSD, guess what my record was? I pushed it from 3 times to 300. Isn't that a weird fucking progression of skill? To go from like 3 hits, years of practice, to 1 day on LSD, to reaching 300. It was a fucked experience. And I thought it was like a freak of nature thing that happened, but then I found out that's actually a common occurrence on LSD. That even some baseball players pitch perfect games on LSD. And if anyone's wondering what it was like, I shouldn't even tell people because it might encourage them to do it. It's definitely dangerous and illegal, so definitely don't be doing any illegal shit. Just to say for YouTube's sake. But anyways, yeah, when you do like a dose of LSD like that, it causes the Matrix effect. You know, the one that you seen in the Matrix movie? I always thought that that was just from the movie. But no, it's actually a real state. So I don't know if the makers of the movie knew about the state and that's why they fucking put it in the movie like that. That's probably why. Now it's a weird effect. I noticed like when I would go to kick the hacky sack, it just looked like it slowed down. I was like, what the fuck, right? Like normally when I kicked the hacky sack without the LSD, time was going so fast I had no time to aim. So I would just miss. But when time slows down and you have like double the amount of time, triple the amount of time, even quadruple the amount of time, now you're looking at like, oh, I can aim this any way I want because I have all the time in the world to pick how I want to aim. So that was really the difference. I don't know why. It's like why time seems to act differently. Because I don't think muscle memory wise, I don't think it's doing anything to your muscles that are, it's like a psychological effect, right? Now what the military did is they got snipers to do it. So they took snipers and tried to get their aim accuracy improved. But they said it just wasn't worth it because definitely has some other side effects, right? You don't want to be pumping yourself full of LSD all the time. And some people were able to retain the skill, and some people lose the skill. So it's like you could all of a sudden like be good at it and then sober up and not be, or you could sober up and all of a sudden it's in your muscle memory. Now all of a sudden you have muscle memory that's like overclocked. That's why I always laughed when overclocking computers came out. And I was like, oh, that reminds me of overclocking your muscle memory. That whole LSD shit. That's when I want to watch Kobe Bryant shoot that 81 points. Yeah, rest in peace, Kobe. I think it's close to the year anniversary, right? Or it just passed. But anyways, when I watched his 81 points, I was like, I bet you he overclocked. If I had to guess. Because it almost seemed like he was playing, like, time was going slower for him than everyone else. And he was born in the 70s. So his generation definitely would have had access to it. And I don't think the NBA ever tests for LSD, as far as I know. They might. Now, I'm pretty sure Kobe wouldn't do it during the game, but he might have already overclocked it like years earlier, and it was just one of those skills that he can use whenever he needs it. Like when the Raptors are beating him, Chuck Swirsky takes out the salami and cheese, and then Kobe goes fucking Matrix mode and hits 81 points. That was a fuck game to watch. I wasn't there watching in person, but I was at home watching on TV live. So I watched it all unfold. It was pretty wild. Now, I've been a basketball fan since, who was it? Chris Bosh's rookie year. So I've been watching basketball for quite a while. I know sometimes I make offensive comments about basketball in like videos. And people are like, dear God, man, you don't know anything about basketball. And I'll list like a fucking encyclopedia behind why I fucking said what I did. And they're like, oh, okay. It's like I'll go back like fucking 20 years about why I think the player that they're comparing is not good. No, basketball has changed a lot over the years. I definitely haven't been watching it like 20 years, or how long was Chris Bosh playing ago? Is that 16? Yeah, I don't even know. Right, so it's saying the space station is there, but I'm pretty sure that's the space station. So I'll fly there, and then we'll go north of the space station, and that brings you to the planet. This planet's like hidden. I don't know why they've never fixed the hidden part. If anyone's wondering why they can't get to the planet, if you go to the planet, it won't work. You have to go to the space station and then go north. Every other planet in the game is not like this. Now, who is it? The first guy that invented LSD, that German professor, he overdosed and he lived to be over 100, right? So some people LSD fucks up really bad, and other people it doesn't seem that bad. I don't know what it is. Could be history of schizophrenia or something, I don't know. I'm definitely not a doctor. I wonder why the show's getting so much lag. I've got nothing open on my computer. Just Entropia and OBS. Shouldn't be enough to be maxing it. It's saying CPU usage is at 17%, so why the fuck am I stuttering so much? Oh well, once I get the new computer set up, I'll try it today. Keep my fingers crossed. Wish me luck, everyone. This computer unboxing video, I might just skip it if it takes another week, because I just want my computer. Not to mention if my computer's broken, I gotta open it before the fucking warranty expires. Yeah, if I had to guess, animals, they probably are tapping into that matrix scent. Like, I don't know, they probably have LSD type chemicals in their body naturally. Maybe that's why their pupils can go big when they want them to. Yeah, did I ever tell you guys, yeah, I probably didn't, the story about the paranormal cat that used to live in my neighborhood? I don't know if you've ever had this experience where one of the cats or animals in your neighborhood starts like doing weird paranormal stuff. So the thing with this cat was it could hear really good. And when I mean by hearing good, I mean like hearing to the point where it's supernatural. What I mean by that, it was like normally someone could hear you from 10 feet away, 20 feet away. So you think, oh, that's pretty far. So what do? You whisper a little bit quieter, see if they can hear you. So maybe it's a frequency thing. Maybe the cats are able to hear frequencies much lower than us. So they're able to hear sounds over great distances that we can't. Because what would happen is this cat loved me. So whenever I would call it, it would just turn around and look right at me because it could hear me, right? So what I would do is experiments about how far away I could let the cat go before calling it and see it would turn around immediately and look at me. So what I would do sometimes is let it get like maybe across the street. Then I would make a call noise really quiet. Like so quiet that it was like almost like a person sitting right next to you, couldn't even hear it. And then the cat would turn around. So I'd be like, okay, across the street, that's pretty impressive. So then I started to do it across my backyard. My backyard's like a field, so it's pretty far. Think about an acre, like maybe across a football field. So yeah, like whispering the cat's call across a football field, it would hear it and turn around. So I was like, okay, that's pretty impressive. So then what I started doing was going in buildings, like really far away, like almost so far away you're like needing binoculars to see the cat, like on the other end of a fucking like I don't know, like even a kilometer away. Well, I don't know, how far could you really see a cat? But anyways, so just on the verge where you can't even barely see it, and I would whisper inside of a building. So there's like glass, no open windows, anything, and the cat would still turn around instantly and look right at me. I was like, what the fuck? How is the cat able to do that? Frequency or something, right? But I was thinking even the timing, like the second I would make the noise, it would turn around. And I'm like, I know the speed of sound. If it has to carry over a kilometer, there is like a little delay. And there was no delay for the cat. It could just hear it instantly. So I was like, what the fuck? How is the cat able to do that? And I even showed it to other people. And all the other people are too like, what the fuck? How is this cat doing this? Because oh fuck, I meant to get out of the vehicle and I fucking exited the game. I'm doing that like over half the time. So anyways, we'll get to see the fucking too long loading screen thing. It says there's been some fixes and adjustments. I'll have to check those out. I was hoping to find out if I got a Christmas gift, but I fucking exited the game. For God's sakes, I'm just gonna get back in the game. I wanted to find out. I'm not gonna let that fuck me over. Sons of bitches. Yeah, it looks like the game won't load for me. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah, I'll have to go to another screen while I log in. Alright, let's do it quick. La 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 la. Right, I'm just ending the stream. Sorry. That's really pissed me off when I fucking accidentally showed everything on screen I'm not supposed to. Now I gotta edit everything out. Alright, so let's wrap up the stream on a high note. God, I should have known, like, man, why am I showing my login information during the login screen? Now I gotta fucking change everything. Well, anyways, so Patreon. If you guys want to help out with that, appreciate it. This show takes a lot of time and energy, so really that's what happens when I get too low on time and energy and I can't make shows. So if you want to help out with that, you can definitely help out with Patreon. Got plans starting at $1 a month. Society 6, finishing quick, is my specialty. It's merchandise that comes on t-shirts and bed sheets, both very popular with the ladies. Hideout TV will pay you to watch videos. Swagbucks will pay you to shop online. GameKit will pay you to watch videos or play video games or try new video games. And free Bitcoin is the spins that I've been doing. We did quite a few Bitcoin stuff, so I won't bother doing any extra. And thanks everyone who's been watching the Entropia archive. I'll get those interviews set up soon. What else is there? Yeah, if you want to be a guest on the show and you play Entropia, just give me a shout out. We'll have to add on Skype, and then once we're added on Skype, it's easier to get it done. I'll give my email address and everything. Yeah, so really any of this information I'm already giving out anyways. My account gets hacked, I'm fucked. But anyways, let's see here. Let's give out my email address. Alright, so there's my email address, and it is not showing, like a fucking horse piece of shit. Like last time I just transformed this so it was on the right order. Why the fuck is it not working again? Alright, so move to the top. There we go. Don't you love it when you fix a problem on a computer, you come back and the problem's fucking there again? It's like, why the hell didn't you save the fix, you fucking piece of garbage? Anyways, God, my heart rate's gonna be over 100. No, it's at 70. It's pretty good. Alright, so take care everyone. That's my email address if you want to add me on Skype. I'm pretty sure that's all you need. Then also you can also, yeah, send PayPal donations that way. This is the email address I got linked to PayPal. So if you don't want to do Patreon or you don't want to do any other methods, you can just send me money directly through PayPal. Really appreciate anyone who does it. But anyone who doesn't, I don't blame you. We're going through hard economic times these days. And even if we weren't, it's not really good to help people with too much shit. It'll make them dependent. But you can make me dependent if you want. Anyways, no, I'll try not to become dependent on patrons. Alright, so let's wrap everything up with affiliate links. Did we do that? The virtual maid sex machine that's for adults and men only, but if ladies need one, they know who to call. Just kidding. Unless the lockdowns ever end. And the click show more information button, it's there in the YouTube description thing. It'll also take you to my website, Judson Weebly. And let's go to the fire screen. Yeah, if you happen to get any of the two-land items in your vaporizer and they taste like shit, then give the show a dislike. But if that doesn't happen, you can give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Just make sure never buy the products from my sponsor, because it will ruin your life. Worse than the focus on this camera will. Alright, see you later. Oh yeah, Raven Jade's material. She's a great YouTuber. I haven't been checking it out lately, so I gotta get caught up on her Entropian content. If anyone else has watched it, you can put comments about it too. Alright, see you later. And yeah, if anyone else is doing Entropia, want your links added to the show, just let me know. Alright, later. Bye for now. Oh yeah, let's give a shout out to everyone who joined the chat today. I think it was just George Washington. Yep, just George. Alright, so thanks George. You kept me from talking to myself. I appreciate it. Later. Come on, exit. There it is. Oh yeah, I had the wrong username. So that's why it worked. Or didn't work. So it's good. I didn't show anything. Oh yeah, you're still listening. Alright, see you everyone. Thanks for watching. Yeah, good luck everyone who's doing the stock market. And just remember, if you lose your life savings or you win your life savings, the most important thing is spending time with family and friends, and that's free anyways. So try to enjoy that as much as you can, and money will play out either way. Doesn't really matter. Later.